And despite more than 100 protesters arrested here in New York City, the scene still looked like nothing compared to Baltimore. So what did police do differently, and who is to blame for the anti-cop sentiment around the country? Here to weigh in, once again, our friend, former New York City Police Detective Bo Dietl. Bo, I know you were out in Times Square last night. You looked at the protesters, and they looked familiar.
What did I see? My friends from Occupy Wall Street. I mean, these are the professional demonstrators, and it came up on the internet because I got the report 2 days ago about the Washington Square demonstration. All that. All they do is sit back, and for any cause that they bring up, they want to be out there. They want to cause disturbance. But with respect to the demonstration last night in New York, it was nothing like what was in Baltimore.
No.
The cops, and you're dealing with a different demonstration group. They're not looting here. They're trying to disrupt the traffic. The other ones were looting.
Which is against the law.
Of course it is, and you got to take them, and you got to let the people drive through. I couldn't get down 47th Street last night because they had to close off. At midnight, you couldn't even go. I couldn't even go home. I sat in my car, I parked to the curb, and I had coffee. But I tell you the truth, you know what? It's all about one thing, and starting to watch across the country. Everybody who wants to jump on board, remember what we said? We have to wait for the information.
Yeah.
And what happened in Baltimore, again, I used to be a homicide detective. I had guys where I locked up would bang their heads on the cell doors until their heads opened up, and when they were bleeding, I had to take them to the hospital.
To make it look like the cops did it?
I don't know what they're making because they were on drugs, and I'm just hoping that they did toxicology on that young man when they took him into the hospital, because I really feel mentally he was not really with it, and possibly he was on drugs. Now, he's dead. My heart goes out to him and his family and all that. This is a dead man. But a lot of people don't understand. They're compartmentalized in that van, in that police van. So the other prisoner really couldn't have beaten him up. He was in it. Then they pulled over 3 times.
Well, he said he couldn't even see him either.
Well, the 3 times they pulled over would be consistent of him kicking, trying to put the leg irons on.
Sure. Bo, let's talk a little bit about the Blockbuster news, and we're going to come back to that video right there.
Yeah.
According to the Washington Post, there was a prisoner in the van when Freddie Gray was put into it.
Yeah.
They were separated, as you said, so they don't beat each other up. He couldn't see it, but it sounded like, according to this other prisoner, that Freddie Gray was intentionally trying to injure himself. Now, you made a point of, when you watched that video, the cell cam video, if he had a broken neck, he couldn't step into the van, and he does, not in this part of it, but when we get to the back of the van, you can see him step into it.
Well, let me tell you, spinal cord injuries with the Christopher Reeves Foundation is one of my charities. My best friend,
here it comes,
my best friend's son, and my president of my company broke his neck in a diving accident. Very familiar with spinal cord injury. If, in fact, his spinal cord was severed like that, there would be no way that he could have stood up like that. That's all I'm saying as far as from a medical. And we had Dr. Bodden on last night that would verify the fact that how are you going to stand up when you have a spinal cord injury like that? You're limp, you're finished. So it could be consistent of him banging his head into the wall. I don't want to rush to judgment. Let's wait. Yeah. Everybody should wait.
We know
for the information to come out.
If he is banging around in that area, we know that he's making a lot of noise. So
not strapped in.
Right. Did you think possibly when the cops were chasing him, he was trying to get away, he slipped and fell and he made an injury. Now, by going into the van there, he made the injury worse. That could have very well happened by him banging his head.
There's 2 things to keep in mind.
We just
Number one, we don't know why he was arrested.
We
don't know why he was arrested yet because the report's not out. If he gave him a bad look, that's not a good thing to arrest somebody for.
It's irresponsible for the protesters and for everybody in America to divide ourselves on a case like this. Look at what happened in South Carolina. We all agree that cop should go to jail. He committed murder. Let's wait and see. But by burning people's businesses, by throwing boulders at cops, and by standing down and all this crap, I said I'm really upset those poor cops had to go through that in Baltimore. I'm just happy to see one thing. New York's demonstration was a lot more peaceful. Oh, they were out there disturbing the peace. But this commissioner and this police department is not going to stand for it in New York. And across this country, every police commissioner should draw the line and say, look, you want to demonstrate? You demonstrate peacefully. Hold your signs up. Don't block traffic. Don't block pedestrians. Do your thing peacefully. I'll be part of a nice, peaceful demonstration. We demonstrated for more money back in 1975 for the cops. I walked across the Brooklyn Bridge. They charged us with horses. We were cops and they charged us with horses. So there's a way of doing it properly, and there's a way of not doing it. And by destroying people's property is not the way.
Of course not. They're the ones who are trying to improve the community.
And also, you know, I wanted to talk to you guys because it's very important. What should we do going forward? We have to build a relationship with our inner city youth with cops. Retired cops, current cops, they should have programs in the inner cities.
What did George Foreman say yesterday?
That's where I'm catching it from, the PAL and all, where you bring them together, where they only interface they have with cops when they get locked up, frisked, or questioned for identification. How about show these kids and teach them some trades? Nobody wants to be a painter or plumber anymore. Teach some trade to these inner city kids so they have something focused in life. Let's bring us together because there's such a division. Cops are the bad guys. Cops hate bad guys. Minorities are taking over the police departments. We're all the same. It's not black, it's white. It's good, it's bad. But we got to have that infrastructure with cops and the inner city youth kids to show, hey, they're human beings. They got family. They cry. My last case was the Palm Sunday massacre. 10 little Spanish kids shot in the head, dead. I still remember. I cried when I walked into the living room. The guy shot them all in the head. Cops cry too. Cops have emotion. They have families. Let's start bringing the reality about what a cop really is. They're out there to protect you. And I think that's the biggest thing that we could do in America. And you know what? We want to give $50 billion to Iran. How about taking that $50 billion, put it into the inner cities? Let's teach these kids some trade and an infrastructure where cops have an interaction with the kids in the community.
You're not the only one frustrated. All right, Bo Dietl, thank you very much.
All right,
that was great.
Yes, it was.